I wish I would have recorded that conversation because it was fun. I was trying to give him a hint what it was, and I told him exactly what it was, and AI wasn't figuring it out for him. He was getting very frustrated. God damn you, Chat GPT, it's not the right one.
We got there. We got there.
We got there after I gave you I pretty much told you what it was. So yeah, I don't know if you know what we're doing today, RJ. We're not even doing an opening. Fuck it.
Cool.
I just sat down this week, or the past couple weeks, I guess, and I was like, I don't feel like doing anything true crime. So I started thinking of things that I never really like. I don't know. I just, those fucking dumb heads on Easter Island. I was like, what are those? And then I started reading it, and there's a mystery there. So we're doing an episode on
Oh,
that. Yeah,
wow. You started the mystery with what's the mystery, and you landed on a real mystery.
yeah,
I love
exactly.
that.
You see them in culture and stuff. You see them all over the place. But what's that about?
Squidward's house.
An elite team of private detectives.
What if balloons are aliens? Maybe that's the key component we're missing.
Cover-ups.
John's guilty.
Mysteries that need to be solved.
Maybe Mormons need mountains.
Richard, shut up.
Is that what I had never watched SpongeBob really? My kids watched a bit, but
Ah, ow.
I think it came out when I was like 15. Like I was old. Like I wasn't like I'm watching SpongeBob.
Okay. You know what? And I think I can respect that. I don't know how I would have felt if I was that old. I know now as an almost 33-year-old man, I still adore it. But
Yeah, I could see that. I see why he's fun. It's Squidward's house. Those heads. That's cool. The only thing I could think of that it's in is like that movie Hop because of my kids. That like Easter movie where the Easter bunny goes and they all live on Easter Island.
I haven't seen Hop. That's for babies.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I have little kids.
SpongeBob is for men and Hop is for babies.
Do you with okay? We tried to get together a couple days ago, but things happened. Me and Rick were talking. I gave him the hint at what the episode was. So now I'm going to ask you a question, but you have to forget the research you did in the past week, okay? Because I know you
I
probably
didn't do
don't.
any. I can assure you, I didn't do any research.
Thank God.
If I'm not on the clock, there's no research being done.
Perfect. I only research while you're talking.
I also like how things happened. That's what I'm going to call all of my naps from now on.
Yeah. I didn't want to throw you under the bus to everyone.
No, it's
RJ
only
fucking
fair.
slept in.
Fell asleep at 5 p.m.
I got school next week. I better go to bed.
We're gonna see if we can solve a 1,000-year-old mystery while we're all just a little bit tired.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been researching the stupid Easter heads, the Easter Island heads. I wanted to get a little break from murder, and then I find out there's we're gonna get about 10 to 12 murders. So perfect. We're getting murders anyway.
Nice.
I can't escape fucking murder. So it's 300 years ago, so it's cool, right? Nobody cares about people from 300 years ago. You can talk about their murder and laugh about it now.
Wait,
Yeah,
was it
yeah.
murder or sacrifice?
I'm pretty sure we've talked about murders that have happened within the past several years that we've laughed about.
But I don't think sacrifices are murders. I don't know that they are sacrifices. I'm just assuming some ritual shit.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not really counting that as murders. That's like religion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like
that.
we needed rain for the corn.
Exactly.
It's not murder.
It's not murder if you're feeding.
We're gonna
everybody.
distribute your things evenly amongst all of us.
Careful then. Yeah, you might get some trials where the husband's like, "No, we just our garden wasn't doing well." So
That's why I buried her out
It
there.
rained the next day.
that's why I cut that bitch's head off.
Can't argue with results.
Yeah, so what I figured out about this entire thing is that before I talk about the heads, let's just talk about Easter Island. Because the real mystery is actually more about the island than the heads. The heads, I don't know. There's a mystery
I
there,
literally just finished Lost today.
Did you?
I swear to you, I just finished. There's a 2-hour episode of Lost for the season finale. Just finished it. So
Nice.
yeah, let's talk about this fucking island.
Well, I don't know if you know anything about Easter Island, but it's out there. It's got really no vegetation, really. It's got some grass and stuff like that, some shrubbery. There's some nice places people go to holiday out there. There's some nice beaches and stuff like that, but really it's mostly steep cliffs, rocky coves, volcano cones.
Position me on the globe because I went to Easter Island and I zoomed out and it's still just blue.
I will tell you exactly where it is momentarily. It's just rocks, grass, shrubbery, beaches and stuff. They're trying to reforest it a little bit. Not much vegetation on the island. Not home to any native animals, but there's like a shit ton of like farming animals out there. Like people brought cows and goats and fucking chickens and shit. Because Easter Island's located in the Pacific Ocean, like fucking deep out there, like 1,200 miles away from its nearest island neighbor, which is called Pitcairn Island. That's 1,900 kilometers. I know I said I wasn't going to like clarify units of measure anymore for people, but this one I just want people to understand how fucking far out it is. Closest continental country is Chile, and it's 2,200 miles away, or 3,450 kilometers away.
Wait, the closest country to it is Chile?
Chile, which is 2,200 miles away in the ocean.
Wow.
It's one of the most isolated places on Earth.
It's crazy when you learn a trivia question that you definitely would have gotten wrong at some point.
Yeah, it's actually a Chilean, like it's annexed by Chile now. Chile. It's annexed by Chile now.
No, you had that right.
Yeah, so it's like a Chilean island now.
I'm looking up to see how expensive flights are.
If you look it up on the map, it's crazy. It's super small too. It's 63 square miles. Triangular in shape, 14 miles long by 7 miles wide, 23 kilometers long by 11 kilometers wide. Yeah, it's the middle of nowhere. Like if you go look at it on Google Maps, like you said you did, it's fucking outrageous. Like zoom out and see how many times, like, I don't know, just it's super far from everything. It's outrageous where it is too. It's crazy.
Oh, okay, that's weird. You have to put in Chile to get the airport.
Yeah, because
it's
from Chile. Yeah, it's a country in Chile. That's why, or like a province of Chile. Or
Oh, Chile owns Easter Island. It's not
they
like
do.
Oh, that's dumb. If you've got giant fucking heads, not spoiler alert, but if you got giant fucking heads on your island, you should be your own. Like Egypt became its own because of the pyramids. I mean, let's just be fucking honest right there. Or somebody would have steamrolled through.
And it's one of the most ancient civilizations in the world. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there's never been any countries that have just taken over ancient civilizations with no regard for the existing population.
Egypt has been around the whole time. Egypt has not gone anywhere.
Egypt.
I'm trying to see what a new year in Easter Island would cost to travel there. I'm trying to get the flight.
It's now known as Easter Island, but according to oral tradition from the island, it was first named. And I'm going to tell you right now, I purposely didn't try to figure out any pronunciations for fun today. So the island was first named Tapita o Takena Ahaumaka, which translates into the little piece of land of Haumaka. Local language of the Rapa Nui, called Rapa Nui. Pita can mean two things. So it could mean like end or navel. So it could just be like interpreted as like the end of the world or like the navel of the world, which I find kind of cute.
The globe's belly button.
Yeah, exactly. Either way, Rapa Nui, the Rapa Nui speaking people, they call themselves the Rapa Nui, and their island is also called Rapa Nui. That's what they call it. So like the people are called Rapa Nui, the language they speak is Rapa Nui, and the island is Rapa Nui. So that's a little confusing every once in a while. The reason it's called Easter Island now is I want to see if you guys can guess why it's called Easter Island. Let's see what you guys got.
Because Jesus laid his first egg there.
There you go. Good guess. Great guess.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Because Easter is when they get the most tourism.
Okay, perfect. It's actually because the first European to discover the little island was a Dutch guy named, again, didn't look up any pronunciations, Captain Jacob Roggeveen.
Oh, that makes sense why it's named Easter Island.
No, I'm getting there.
I thought you were gonna say like Captain David Easter.
Yeah.
No,
you really stretched out that name. I was waiting for it.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't continue the sentence. I was trying to say it properly. Yeah, he was out exploring the Pacific looking for like some mythical land or whatever the fuck they're looking for on Easter Sunday, 1722, and then he saw the island. So he's just like, "Oh, that's Pash Eland," which is Dutch for Easter Island. So he just saw an island on Easter. Captain Jacob wasn't super creative. He's exploring. He doesn't have time for creativity.
Most of the Dutch aren't.
That's true. Worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing worse than a Dutch person is probably the Italians. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, got him again.
When they get there, these Europeans, they see a bunch of native people living there already. By Captain Jacob's estimate at the time, there's about 3,000 to 4,000 people living there. And they'd been there for centuries, according to him, because actually, we'll talk about the history of the island later, like when it was settled, because a lot of people have different ideas. Some say it's like 300 to 400 it was settled. And then some say 700 to 800 when they used their carbon dating. And then like later on, someone else's carbon dating puts them there at like 1200. So whatever. Archaeologists,
We gotta all get put on the same unit of carbon dating. This is crazy.
yeah, they said they fucked it up. The other people earlier in the 80s or whatever. Anyways, one of the mysteries is who inhabited the island, really. So historians probably say it's like a Polynesian tribe. And second mystery is exactly when the island was inhabited. Polynesians were known for being great seafaring culture. A lot of the art on Easter Island is similar to like Hawaiian and Tahitian art, so that's why they think they're Polynesian for sure. The Rapa Nui language is very similar to the Polynesian language called Early Mangaravan. Tool style, same as Polynesians, lots of stuff like that. So Polynesians seem to be the best guess who inhabited the island first. But the closest Polynesian island would have had to travel like 1,600 miles away to the island on like what's basically two canoes strapped together. So it's kind of fucking far. They were like master sailors and shit like that, but do you think they could have done that in like the 400s without dying to get there? I don't really know. Maybe. One of the other weird things about the island that the first explorers were kind of weirded out by is that they had sweet potatoes on the island, which is not native to like that side of the world. It's native to actually South America. So if they had sweet potatoes there, was it some sort of like, I don't know, South American tribe that made it to the island first and brought like sweet potatoes to plant on there? That was like their main source of food on the island, according to our captain Ragavine. Chile's actually a lot closer to the island than any Polynesian country, so I don't know. So a lot of people say it's a mixture of both the cultures. The Rapa Nui are just like a mixture of some South American people and some Polynesians. If you listen to some oral history on the island, like there was two different classes of people that lived on Easter Island. I'll talk about that in a bit because that's part of the theory stuff. But anyways, Jacob, when he's there, he discovers Easter Island. Him and his crew like spent a week there, and they were super interested in these primitive people that were there. When they first dropped off on the island, I guess some sort of like, I don't know, miscommunication of some sort. I'm gonna say these fucking European settlers were like, fuck you, douchebags. But they got in a fight and ended up with 10 people dead. 10 Rapa Nui just shot by the colonizers the first day there. Whoa, whoa, don't touch my gun. Then they shot him. That's my guess. Something fucked up like that. Apparently the Rapa Nui didn't fight back or anything. They weren't even super mad. They were just like, come on, get off, we'll feed you and everything. I find that a little odd. Yeah, he and his crew described the island as windswept and mostly agriculture based. Like I said, he said there's about 3,000, 4,000 people there. He thought it was really interesting that the native people of the island worship these statues, and those are like the Easter Island heads. That's what drew me to the island, really. I don't know if you guys know this, but they're not just like heads. I thought that's what they were, like just like statues of heads. They're like full-blown statues, like the whole thing. Whenever you see those heads, they're actually just like buried and sunk into the ground from like erosion and stuff like that.
Oh, I did know that. I did hear that.
Yeah, so I didn't know that. I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, I wonder what's under my house.
Yeah, it's just a big robot arms and legs. You've been holding me back, Rick. It's game sentience.
What if everywhere had these heads and this island for some reason just didn't get covered as much?
Didn't get covered as much. What do you mean?
It's an island, so what if the water kept washing up on the shore and just fucking keeping the erosion lower?
I feel yeah. So there's like millions of them on the island somewhere just buried
Or around the world.
around the world. Yeah, could be. If you look at actually the fact that they're statues, you see like after I started looking this up, you see a lot of like Facebook or like memes that are like they're not just actually heads, they're bodies, and you see like these guys from like the 80s like standing beside they dug one up or whatever. But like if you look at the old drawings from the European explorers that went there, a lot of them have big ass bodies standing there anyway. And like I don't know, do you guys know how many heads there are? Like how many like
I
moai, they're
don't know.
called moai is what they're called.
Probably at
Like
least 7 of them.
5? Oh.
According to a National Geographic article I read, the latest count was 1,043.
What?
Yeah, there's 1,000 of them on that island.
Price is right, that bitch.
Do you think we could buy one?
There's 100 years ago, you could have went and taken one.
Hmm.
They're like illegal to touch now.
How? I feel like I would have had a hard time 100 years ago
By
transporting that.
By being white.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I wasn't forklift certified yet.
You were
I don't know
slave
that.
certified though, so what do you need forklift for?
Very true.
All right, so they're an average of 4 meters tall, about 13 feet tall, and weigh about 14 tons. That's like average size.
Has anyone ever broken one open?
Yes, many people.
Was there
So-
shit inside of it?
No, they're just a
Fuck, because there might be. In one, though, there might be.
It's like Captain Cook's treasure. He just buried it inside heads. Like every head has an emerald inside of it.
Or only one does.
You have to break them all to find out.
Oh, you don't have to break them all. You just have to break the right one.
That's right. You'll get until you get there. That's true.
There's probably a pattern.
But like if you find one emerald, you smash these heads, you find one emerald, you're gonna go like, well, the other ones don't have one. I'm smashing the rest of them to get more. It's more of a motivation for me to make sure
it
there's more
depends.
emeralds.
How many do I have? Like, if I smash 100 and I get one, it's like hitting the progressive jackpot on the slots. You call it. You're like, I've been in it for too long. But if I smash 5 and I get one, I'm like, hey, we can do 5 more.
It's like the bet loss fallacy or whatever that fucking thing's called, where like you just like keep betting because you think you bet so much you're gonna win at some point.
All right, if there really are this many, if I'm on satellite view, I should be able to freaking crawl across the image and find one, huh? Before you finish
Maybe.
here. I'm not gonna
I'm sure you
I'm not
will.
gonna-
Like I'm sure there's a lot of them. There's 10 on a 63 square miles radius. There's 1,000 of them.
There's more houses than I thought there'd be.
The biggest Moai statue stands about 69 feet tall and weighs about 200 metric tons. That one's called El Gigante, which I find fun. Or I guess it's not even like it's still in the quarry, unfinished. It was like mostly finished. It never got to its like spot, but anyways, mostly these are carved from a rock called tuff, which I find fun because it's made from compressed volcanic ash. It's like super like porous and weak, so they called it tough. Like, why would you do that? It's not tough at all. Most of the Moai sit upon a rock platform called an ahu. There's about 300 of these. A lot of them are standing in a row on them. If you look at Moai now, like you look up, you'll see that's more of the famous pictures. It's like 10 or 13 standing on these ahus or whatever. It's like just platforms. Most of the Moai are facing away from the sea into the sort of facing towards the island. And it's a way of watching over the inhabitants. There are 7 that are facing outward towards the sea, and those ones are supposed to be watching the fishermen out in the ocean or whatever, people out there. The Rano Rakaru quarry on the island's south shore is where the Rapa Nui used to get the stone made to make these statues. Like I said, there's a lot of unfinished statues. A bunch of them, most of them are in the quarry. Nowadays, it's illegal to even touch the Moai, and Easter Island is a UNESCO Worldwide Heritage Site. According to legend, over 1,000 stone statues are basically shrines to dead important people like chiefs, priests, heads of families, stuff like that, people like that. And they would temporarily hold their mana or life force before they left the mortal realm. It's kind of like a gravestone in my opinion, like the way you look at, because when they dig up around the Ahu, they find a bunch of skeletons and shit. So they're guessing, a lot of historians guess that's like family members or people that worship these people or whatever that would just like get buried around the Yahoo's. What I thought the mystery was when I saw those things is that they're super old and they didn't really understand who made them, which is kind of true, I guess, because they don't really understand where these people came from to begin with.
You think that's where headstone came from?
What is headstone?
That's what they call like the gravestone.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, maybe
they call it a headstone.
Oh yeah, maybe, yeah, for sure. That's actually,
feel like
Bro,
that's-
that's fucking crazy. I want a giant head instead. I wasn't given that as an option.
Just your head. You could put that in your
I
will,
don't care
buddy.
whose head it is.
Well, make it yours. You want my
And
head?
it's not a real head. It would be made out of tough.
I know you want my
It's
tough
gonna be
head.
authentic.
You want a tough Richard over top of
Yeah,
your
I
grave?
want a tough
Cool,
head.
man. Cool, man.
No, we'll make it Rick's head, but it'll be life size, just normal Rick's head, and then we'll stick a fleshlight in the mouth. How about that?
That's it's actually genius if the civilization
Take-
that was there had any understanding of archaeology, because by them building these large statues and some of them being in the ground and some of them laying on the side, people can get an estimation for how much erosion there was and how far down they would need to go to actually like excavate to find these bodies, which is really
Mhm.
interesting when you think about it that way, and definitely not why they did it, but
Yeah, not really at all. Just like scared of dying. So they figure they should talk to the gods or their bosses or
yeah.
whatever. But yeah. The mystery though, the big mystery with those things is how they actually move them from the quarry to where they are all over the island with like not modern tools, like just people. And what's really interesting to me is scientists figured out that they had to have moved standing up instead of laying down, or some people think they did it laying down, but some people say they did them standing up just because of the way they broke. Like there's a lot of ones that like fell over and you wouldn't be able to like drop it in that way if you're just like rolling it on something. You would have to drop it from a standing position, not on the way there. Which, anyways, that's one of the mysteries how they got it from place to place. I think I think in 2011 somebody said they figured it out. And we'll get to that later, but it took till 2011 to figure out how they move these fucking statues around. If we think that's how they move them around at the end of this, because we're the final say. Back to the island a little bit more. So like I said, Captain Jacob arrived. Culture of Rapa Nui been around for centuries. Some saying from 600, could be around 1200. So Captain Jacob spent his week on Easter Island, and then they left, and the island remained isolated for another 8 years. Then some Peruvians showed up, rediscovered the island in 1770. The Spanish spent 4 days on the island and was noted that the population was still around 3,000. Then stayed isolated for another 4 years. Then the British made it there around 1774, Captain James Cook, and he found that the once thriving population was significantly lower than it was 4 years ago. Cook claimed that there was a population of about 600 or 700 with fewer than 30 women. And he also noted that the Rapa Nui were armed with spears, indicating to him that there must have been some sort of civil war going on because there wasn't anybody else coming to the island. So they figure the two classes of people.
How many blankets did they leave behind the first time they were there?
Yeah, that's a big part of this for sure. Yeah, so according to oral tradition, there are two different classes, like I said. One were called the big ears, and the other were called the small ears. The big ears were the upper class, small ears lower class. Was there like a war between them? That's what James Cook's thinking. There's a war between the two classes. Seems so to him because of all the weapons and stuff. A lot of the Moai that were on the island still standing up, that were there when the Peruvians showed up, were now all toppled over. So they made a lot of guesses like this could be from the fighting, knocking over each other's like Moai, being like, "You're Moai stupid now that I took over your place," or whatever. But there is evidence that an earthquake probably knocked them over in between those times. There's a big earthquake in the 1770 to 1774 in that area. Oral tradition says that at some point the small ears rose up to fight the big ears, and the religion changed from worshiping statues, so uh, the Moai, to what they're calling a bird cult. They transferred to some like bird thing. So the statues weren't as important by the time the Europeans got there. They were just there from like a culture gone by. Now they're like worshiping like a bunch of fucking birds and shit.
I mean,
Um,
Apple TV Plus could easily get 3 seasons out of a show about worshiping heads and then worshiping birds. So I would be in.
yeah. Yeah, but this is an interesting little like I'm skimming over a lot of actually like fun shit that happened, but it's not worth the 3 hour fucking podcast that that would turn into. But yeah, so they changed to like some bird cult because I guess birds fly and they can get off the island because the island kind of sucked at a certain point. Since the Rapa Nui had no trees on the island, they were basically stuck there. They couldn't make any canoes or anything like that. In fact, Moai Mania is what they called it, was already in decline when Jacob made his way to Easter Island. So that, yeah, I already told you that part. French guys, so English left, bunch of people after the British come, bunch of people are in and out of the island. French guys make it there, 1786. French captain named Jean-François de Dallop. He said there's about, so he gets there, I don't know, 14, 15 years, or wait, yeah, 12 years later. And he said the population was up to 2,000 people on the island. And then from 1792, many
How are they?
Europeans.
What's the counting protocol for all this shit? Like, hey, everybody, line up. I'm gonna count you one by one. Like,
I feel like that's what they did. I feel like they have guys, they're there for a week at a time. They have a guy's specific job is to go, they go like, how many people in that little place, how many people in that little place, and they get together and add them up.
it's crazy.
Like, I feel like it's not a big place, and they have guys with like, I don't know, guns and shit. Like, here's some food. You ever have chicken before?
I mean, I'm sure parrot tastes pretty much the same.
Well, they wouldn't be eating birds. They worship birds.
Yeah, but parrots are assholes.
Especially when people teach. I had a parrot when I was a kid. Did I ever tell you that? When I was
No.
super young, we had a green macaw or whatever, and fuck, that
Was
thing
it
was annoying.
nice? Yeah, exactly.
It was super annoying.
Oh, they have a fast food joint here called La Frites.
Lafrites.
Yeah.
On Easter Island?
Yeah. I don't know what this is a video of, but this looks gross.
Well, Easter Island now is like a tourist attraction. People go there all the time.
Oh, right. Okay.
From 1792 onward, many Europeans like fishermen, sailing vessels, fucking whalers, all sorts of people visited the island. And then for the next 70 years, things were exactly the same as when Europeans visit or invade places. There were a bunch of smallpox outbreaks. So a lot of people died. So in 1862, the Peruvians went there for they started slaving there. So that was good with them. They started taking fucking people off the island for slaves. And by 1877, the population had been decimated to a mere 111. And then, you know what happens next? They have 111 people. Send in the missionaries. So all the Christians start going there. There's not many of you now.
That's when they got Jesus to lay the eggs.
Yes, there you go. And then Easter Island, everything. Wow, we just solved it.
Yeah. He laid the eggs in the sand and then those heads grew out of them.
They look like they have some pretty good tuna there.
Maybe. So yeah, that's the basic history of that island. Now it's a tourist trap. Chile got it in 1888, I believe. It comes up.
Do you imagine how many of those statues there'd be if the seagulls didn't eat all the little ones that tried to get to the ocean?
Yeah. So here's a couple of mysteries. Who inhabited the island first? What happened to the Rapa Nui? How did the statues get from place to place? There's a couple more mysteries to come. So on the island also, archaeologists found some petrographs made from stone and wood. They were found in the mid 1800s by the missionaries that were there. There's 26 of them in total, and none of them are on Rapa Nui anymore. They're all over museums, private collectors, whoever. Classic colonizer moves all around here. A lot of stuff going on here for colonizer moves. The only thing that's really mysterious about the petrographs, or the fun thing about the petrographs to me, is that no one can decipher what they say to this day. Like, they're all a mystery of actually what they say. Even the Rapa Nui ancestors, like people that know the history and stuff, say they don't know what they say at all. The petrographs are called the Rongo Rongo tablets, and they may be the thing that can answer archaeologists' questions about what's going on that island. How did it start, and where did people come from? Last mystery here, well, I think another mystery here is the Rongo Rongo. What happened to it, and is it the key to Rapa Nui?
Oh, it's lost?
It's lost? You're still stuck on lost?
No, did you say the Rongo Rongo tablet went missing?
No, there's 26 of them, and nobody knows what they say.
Oh.
Yeah. Yet, exactly.
AI's got it.
So, first mystery, who inhabited the islands first? Honestly, it's probably Polynesians. It just sounds a lot better to me than just because there's a sweet potato. They're like, you know what? It could have been the South Americans.
Wait, before you go through all these, I have one kind of important question.
Yeah,
The
sure.
people that live there now,
Yeah.
like if you're born there, do you have the ability to earn enough money to leave the island, or if you're born there, are you just like you're there?
This one lady that I was watching, she left to go away to school and came back. And like she does all these videos like life on Rapa Nui. Can you leave? Yeah, it's a Chilean like province. I'm sure you could figure out ways to get to Chile and you'd have all the same rights on the mainland as you would. But there are a lot of Rapa Nui people that still want their independence. Like they want to break off and have their own.
That's just because they're fucking
Fuck it, let 'em.
lazy. They're lazy. They need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, get a job at the La Frites or whatever, flipping frites, and
Stop buying avocado toast
Yeah.
and just fucking save your money up.
yeah, quit burying all of your body in the sand and leaving your head out. and just waiting for your independence and go out there and earn it.
Yeah, that's America.
I guess you could
Exactly.
easily earn money just by like doing a ghost tour or something. Just make it up as you go.
Oh, that's what all ghost tours are. They all made them up as they went, and somebody went,
But
and
I
they went,
mean,
oh,
you with
perfect.
this, you have like giant heads as props.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
That's
you could
true.
make up somebody tomorrow could pick up one of the Rongos and go like, I know the language, I've deciphered it. It's like vampires inhabited this island and killed everyone. If you look at a Moai past midnight, you will turn into a vampire, and then just like turn the island into dead island for a night when people stay there and just scare the shit out of everyone.
That's really good, Richard. Have you thought of hosting ghost tours?
Yes, actually, I would love to
Yeah.
do that.
Bringing them around your town. You're like, woo, this is where the economy died.
There's a remnants of an old mill. Woo! Who got there first? Probably Polynesians. Does it make sense why there's two distinct tribes on the island, long ears, short ears? Maybe they're both there and they were both inhabiting the island at the same time. And since the island was like pretty barren of stuff, you couldn't really leave. So once you got there, you're kind of there. So who cares? That's really where that one goes. Like, who really cares who got there first? They're kind of distinct in their own way. So mystery number two. When was the island inhabited or colonized? It, I don't know. To me, it doesn't sound like it matters that much. And I start thinking about it. It kind of does matter. 400 to 600 or 1200 to 1400. That's a big fucking amount of time difference to get there.
I'm gonna tell you right now, though, I guarantee you nothing was different in the world from our perspective. Like, try to name me like one massive technological advancement that happened between 1200 and 1400.
Torture techniques got a lot cooler, dude.
Yeah, you think
You think
so?
they're putting people on the rack in fucking 600? That's like an 800 to 900 invention for sure. You think you're getting the fucking, what's the one where they sit on a fucking pyramid and they make you sit? That's fucking 1200s for sure. Torture techniques got way better.
I don't
Hurting
know. I feel
your
like
slaves, you knew how to do that a lot better. Come on, there's so many good technology advances that
I'm
you're
just
not
telling
thinking
you,
of.
you drop me in the richest, whitest European nation back in time, and I'm gonna look around and go, all right, this is somewhere between 500 and 1700,
You're probably right.
and I'm gonna have no fucking idea.
No, but things that got better over those years, and in all honesty, is like weapons. Like just like ships would be bigger, but you wouldn't know the difference from our perspective. You're right, but from their perspective, like a ship from fucking 600 years ago would look like a ship from 600. They would be like, "Oh, why do you have old technology ship? You should have
I
good
still
ship."
I still feel like though, like something like that, like you'd show them, like, like you look at this, they'd be like, wow, that's a crazy ship that you must have just built. That's cool that you figured out how to do that with everything we have right now. If you hand them a Game Boy, their brain is gonna explode.
Oh, 100%. Like we've
yeah. You hand them a Game Boy, they're gonna build giant statues of your
Yeah,
head.
they're gonna just start smoking weed and playing Dr. Mario, and you just altered the fate of the world.
Pouring fucking Gatorade on plants.
As soon as we figured out electricity, like harnessed electricity, that shit got different. I understand that.
It got different.
For sure. Like
Is that what did it? Just electricity?
I would say it's a big one from there. That
Yeah.
probably electricity harness that shit. Use it in things. Anyways, so is it 400 or 1200? It matters a bit. In the book Collapse: How Societies Chose to Fail or Succeed by Jared Diamond, he suggests that the island was a tropical paradise when it was discovered by Polynesians around 400s, the 400s. And Island Paradise, like I say that, it had all the stuff you need until it got too big. So at one point, Diamond suggests that the island had a population of about 40,000 people around the 800s. But since there's so many people, they were like a victim of their own success. The island was way out there. Back in those times, there's actually fossil record of an old type of palm tree. It's probably one of the biggest palm trees ever that used to be on the island. So this guy suggests that these guys like got way too advanced. So they don't have enough place to grow food. So they start slashing, burning fucking trees down to make fertilizer for more agriculture so they can have their 40,000 people on this little baby island. In the meantime, they like burn down too much of the island and like the new farming stuff isn't sustainable anymore. because they're using all the nutrients from the fucking trees, I guess, and the trees can't grow back fast enough that like they kind of killed themselves off. They call this ecocide when you fuck up the environment enough to kill it off for yourself, which I kind of find interesting because that's kind of what's going on with us. Like we're doing that shit to ourselves at this point, right? Killing ourselves. Just
I did just take down a tree last weekend, but that's because it was already falling down.
you're doing your part for ecocide. Thank you.
Happy to contribute.
You ecocidal maniac.
And then Diamond says this like led to cannibalism, like the decline of all the food on the island. People just started eating themselves. They actually found a cave on the island. It's called Anakai Tangata, which loosely translates to Cave of the Cannibals, but it could also mean like, I don't know, Kai to Rapa Nui means to eat, but the little translation would be like Anakai Tangata would be like the cave where men are eaten, which some people like
That's so much more metal than the
Cave of
Cave of
Cannibalism.
Cannibals. Yeah.
Cave where men are eaten.
Something about how explicit it is.
Yeah, because well, what they're saying, what some of the historians are saying, because of the way the cave like opens, it kind of looks like a mouth. So it's just like a literal like people walk in there, it looks like they're getting eaten by the side of the mountainside, you know? Or Kai also translates to gather or tell. So Anakai Tangata could just like be a place where people gathered to get information. People just want the cannibalism part because it's fun. And if you do go inside the cave, the acoustics of this cave show that if you stand in the far back and you speak, you can hear people at the front of the cave really loud, like it's actually made, feels like it's made to speak in. So is it a place where people, and there's art everywhere inside. If you look, you can see on the internet, if you go like look up the Anakai Tangata, you can see all the cave pictures and stuff in there. It's pretty cool for
I'll do that. I definitely know how to spell that.
ANA.
Just ask ChatGPT, and that's how to
Ask
spell everything.
ChatGPT. It helped him figure it out before. There's boats that which I find a thing that's cool there is there's boats with masts and stuff. So you could tell they were in there when the Europeans were there because there was no boats like that until the Europeans showed up with like big ass boats. So they're still drawn in there in the 1700s and stuff. Yeah, it's just a gathering spot. So by the time Dutch sailor Captain Jacob,
maybe by the cave where men get eaten. If it's like a gather, maybe it's like where they get their asses ate and they just like chill in there because they're all from the 1700s and they're Europeans, so they're definitely gay.
sick,
And they're just like, yeah. So yeah.
they have those fruity fucking curly
Yeah,
wigs
well,
on, just getting
they
their
probably
ass
take
eaten.
it off when they're eating ass. Well, I mean, maybe they leave it on when they're getting their ass ate, but
Yeah, they take it off when then they're not like
yeah, because they got to come out and they just like wipe their face off.
yeah, that's what it is. It's a face wipe for
Yeah.
ass eating.
That
Okay.
helps adhere it to their scalp afterwards too.
I don't know why that one grossed me out. I've said so many disgusting things. That's the first thing that's grossed me out in so long. I don't know why that grossed me out. Okay, you did it. Good job, RJ.
Thanks.
So yeah, by the time Captain Jacob gets there, the society, according to the book, is already in decline due to lack of food. Diamond's theory, I don't know. There's a couple problems with it. He says there's no evidence of anyone being on this island before 1200 earliest, according to newest carbon dating, there's no evidence of anyone being there 1200 earliest, according to archaeologist Terry Hunt and Carl Lipos. They suggest what happened to the island's population and why it went in decline is not because of ecocide, but more because of exploration onto the island from Europeans. When the Polynesian explorers took their canoes over the island, they also brought over Polynesian rats. These rats went on the island, no natural predators, had a field day. They loved to eat all the trees and the nuts the trees provided. And the thing about these rats, if you have a mating couple, they can double their population in as little as 47 days. Even if just two rats, a male and a female, went onto the island, it wouldn't take that long for them to be in the millions.
Yeah, rats do love sister fucking.
So do they eat a lot of rats now?
That's what it's super huge evidence of like shit tons of rats being on the island.
Is that what freats are?
Yeah. That's Freets and Rapa Nui Freets is rat, yeah,
Oh.
for sure. There's a lot of evidence of a huge rat population between the enormous amounts of rat bones archaeologists found to the bite marks all over the palm nut remnants that are also found on the island. By the time Captain Jacob had gotten there, the rats had already done a number on the vegetation, the trees that were basically non-existent at this point. And then when the European visitor, yeah, that's one of the things. They do have a bunch of like people reading rats as well. You're asking that question, RJ or Rick? Yes, lots of people reading rats as well. There's evidence of that too. European visitors show up. This adds another layer of killing off the Rapa Nui population. So just like the Americas, they bring over smallpox and other Western diseases. There are 4,000 people estimated to be there when Captain Jacob showed up. And only a half century later or so, explorers claimed there was only a population of just over 100. Some sailors claimed that they'd seen piles of skeletons near the Moai. That's how fast they were dying. That's probably why they gave up faith in their fucking Moais. Look at how many people are dying now, you fucks. Between that and all the slave raids that took place in the 1800s, the population just went to like basically nothing.
Did the birds turn it around?
I think the
For the
birds
island?
didn't help either. I think the
Oh,
birds,
okay.
I think that's why the missionaries swung in there and made a lot of Catholics. Lipo and Hunt suggest that the rats and the Europeans killed off the populations until Europeans arrived. The 4,000 people that lived there were already in decline from the rats, but they were kind of in a balance. And the Europeans just kind of set it over the top for them. By late 1800s, like I said, population's 111. Yeah, that fucked them up. European colonization and rats is what killed off the Rapa Nui in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It seems right.
Oh man, this took a while, but this is a nice hotel. This is the only one I found that is
Yeah, they got
decent.
they have a nice resort there. I was looking at them too.
Yeah,
Does it have a good view of the poverty though? I don't want to go unless it does.
you probably have to drive past it, but you don't have to live in it.
I think you could see the poverty on all angles.
Yeah, I want to swirl a glass of wine and stand out on the balcony and look at all of the poor people.
Here's your dollar bill, maid.
Yeah.
Every dish I've seen so far looks like fish that was regurgitated by a bird. So if you're hungry for that,
Perfect.
May I have a side of grilled rat?
Frites. They're called
Yeah.
frites in Rapa Nui. So yeah, the mystery number 3 is how the Moai get from the Rano Rakaru quarry and all over the island. So, okay, basically 400 of them were moved miles away from the quarry. The other 600 are either still laying unfinished in the quarry or on the move to their final place and kind of just left not standing on an ahu. But to move a statue that weighs tons 1,000 years ago seems pretty crazy to me for a culture of people with no heavy equipment or whatever. So there's a few theories on how this happened, and it all depends on how you think the island was first inhabited. Rollers and wedges, roll them down there, help of thousands of people to roll them to a place. That's one of the ones that's if they got there earlier. And this helps Jared Diamond's side of the argument, saying that the Rapa Nui, they got so crazy, they cut down all the trees because they wanted to roll their Rapa Nui into place and they didn't realize they're cutting all their trees down. The idiots. They just worship their little Rapa Nuis or their Moais too much. I don't know. It seems logical. Like that's how I thought they moved them with rollers and shit. But they don't really have natural trees or anything there anymore. And they were still getting moved after that. So I don't know. Did they cut down all their trees? I don't know if that's true. What do you guys think? Do you think they just ripped down all their trees or they figured out a better way?
I think they built him from underneath.
Okay, I like your idea.
Yeah.
That's good. Like I said, a bunch of the Moai that they find that are on the move to their place have like broken in half because I guess people dropped them from a standing position. That's what these archaeologists say. They couldn't have been moving using rollers. They wouldn't have broken like that. How they moved upright, our buddy Terry Hunt and Carl Lippo kind of figured out how they think they figured out. The oral legend of the Rapa Nui say that the Moai quote unquote walked to their location. Terry Hunt and Carl Lippo were like, that's fucking stupid. They're dumb statues. They don't walk. But then they started like thinking like maybe they did walk in a way. It sounds like if they moved them upright.
Yeah, that sounds like bullshit. Like, who is this oral legend that we're supposed to believe him?
Yeah, it's true. Anybody can make up whatever they want. That's what I like about oral history.
Yeah,
It's
like I'm
fucking
gonna
made up by the guy.
believe some guy who's famous for sucking dick about what statues do.
For sure.
if it were me, I would simply build the statue where I wanted it to begin with.
That's true too, but you gotta have rock for that.
Especially by the 1200th one. The first one, maybe I'd be like, I should move that. But by number 1200,
They did a lot of math and they kind of figured out how they moved them walking. You want to see?
Yeah.
is it like put one corner up, put the next corner up, put the one corner up, and just fucking
These two guys, Carl Lipo and Terry Hunt, they actually went on the island, studied, brought a bunch of people there, studied for a long time, and they actually took the measurements of a moai and got one 3D printed and made scale. It's not the same size, it's 10-foot tall one, but just to test out how to move this stuff because that's some ideas. Here's how they make this walk.
Who said I couldn't walk?
Anyways, there's a whole Nat Geo thing if you want to watch the whole thing about walking the Moai. I watched it. I thought it was interesting. These guys spent a lot of their life.
How did they go uphill with it?
A good question. So what they did, they're looking at these Moai before they get this, and they look at them, they go, how the fuck did they say they walked? And they noticed that all the ones on the Ahu were all cut flat on the bottom, standing in place perfect where they were. But if you look at the ones that are in transit, the front of it was kind of leaning forward a bit by 14 degrees. They noticed that if you kind of like move it like a fridge or something, like shake the one side and then the other, you could kind of move them. But they just basically use ropes, and they moved that replica Moai about 200 meters in about a half an hour with 18 people, which they never did this shit before. I feel like if you were like expert at moving this shit around, you've done them, they moved so many of them, you could probably move them a good distance. Now, could you move them uphill? They would probably go on the opposite side, Rick, instead of the back people holding it from falling over and just like kind of pull it as they did the heave-ho thing. I don't know. So they used three ropes, 18 people to move it that far. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty ingenious for people back in the day with ropes and shit to move shit around.
Yeah, I bet you the slaves who carried it around the island would have really liked to try that method out.
Probably, yeah.
Poor fucking slaves.
I kind of fail to believe that it was that smart, though. It seems too smart for a bunch of people that were killed by freets.
Yeah, that's true too. You can't just kill all the rats. So they kind of moved it like that. They kind of have a theory that that's how they move them. It explains a lot of different things on the island, like how they got broken like that. It kills the eco side, like like a lot of the Rapa Nui people like this theory that they were there in the 1200s because that doesn't make them sound stupid. Like they just slashed and burned and rolled their fucking trees to nothing. It makes them sound like they got killed by like something they couldn't prevent, rats and fucking Europeans, which sounds more, I don't know.
This island looks very green. I'm just saying, I don't see the lack of trees situation going on. I'm sure there was at one time, but I feel like they got it under control.
Where's all the trees? Show me. Pull it up. There's a lot of grass.
Let me make sure I'm looking at the right fucking.
There's definitely like a reforestation effort going on at this point for sure, but I'm guessing the trees you're seeing are on the resort or something. Because if you look at the countryside, it's just flat rock.
Well, I mean, there ain't much country to have a side on.
Zoom it in, buddy.
I mean, these are all trees.
Google Maps been there. Go.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see your screen for sure.
Trees.
You're saying trees with it being like super far out.
What do you want me to freaking? It's
go Street View.
You ever look at a broccoli like this? That's either a tree or a piece of broccoli. You tell me which one you think.
Or it's shrubs.
They're not shrubs. They're trees. Can we? Where's the little man here?
I'm saying go to Street View. I want to see Street View.
Well, I'm sorry, the goats didn't capture out this far. I mean, what the fuck? But here's more trees. These are all trees.
Trees.
How much? I mean, you can tell that they're trees. Look at the shadows that they're casting. These shadows are way too long to be.
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you. I sat here and did a bunch of research. Like you look at Google Maps for 5 seconds, sure.
Are you saying that these aren't trees? You can see the shadows. That
I know.
casting.
I'm telling you, people. I've already told you, people are reforesting it right now. Does that mean those trees are good to go by themselves? No, they'll probably get fucking clobbered by hurricanes.
Trees on this. I mean, literally, look at there's trees in between these people's houses.
Yeah, everybody's got trees.
Like, sure. I mean, I can understand maybe there were like a lot more down here at one point or something, but. I don't know. I'm like,
I mean, like, can you eat
those might be rocks. I don't know what those are.
They're trees.
But these are definitely trees. I mean, look, you can see the freaking leaves there.
What if they're just large shrubs, Rick?
I'm telling you that I'm telling you they for sure have been trying to reforest it. It's just not its own thing.
I don't stop the reforestation and get Google in there. Do the fucking street view. This is
Without
ridiculous.
without Chilean help, that island would die. Like they need help from on the mainland. They can't survive themselves.
Yeah.
Tree,
Sure, I did
tree.
Those are pretty short.
Oh, I mean,
Parade.
they still have a rat problem.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the rats are
Also,
gone.
you say without Chilean help, they wouldn't be able to do it. How does blinding them with beanbag bullets help them?
What?
Chile is a notoriously fucked up place to
Oh,
live if you believe in protest and First Amendment.
I don't disagree. South America's crazy. I just didn't know that beanbag things. They probably don't
Yeah,
go there.
they
They
shoot them
probably
in the face with the
Why-
beanbags.
I can't go this way.
the
What's
goat
over
didn't make
here?
it that far.
I was trying to fucking Carabineros. That's what I'm trying to get over to. I don't know. If I was here on this island and you told me that we had a tree problem, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I see trees everywhere.
Through the field in the distance.
Well, there's definitely some farmland where they don't want trees. I'm like, I mean, this is a freaking airport.
I looked at trying to go there just for fun. It's not that expensive, and it's a 29-hour flight.
Yeah,
Wow.
From where I am.
fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that for sure. That's where it killed me. Anyways, okay, well, we're there's trees all over the place. Rick, fucking right, Rick. It's just a tree paradise there. Yeah, so it's either the eco side or just like rats and Europeans. I don't know. European thing sounds way more realistic to me that people were there in 1200s versus 600s, but that's just me. And the last thing is the Rongo Rongo tablet scriptures. I just find them fun. If you guys want to look them up, just take a look at the Rongo Rongo. It's cool because if they are a different language, it's one of the three languages ever like created before like by itself from scratch, apparently. Because it does it and they don't understand it. It's like really weird. The way you read these things, the way they go is like in a circle around the edge of the so you'd have to like turn the tablet as you're kind of reading it. That's what they're saying, which is something interesting. And they don't know if it's monosyllabic language or if it's like a I forget what they call the other one, where it's just like symbols and everything means a word. If you look at them, it's pretty interesting to see like, I don't know, it's a bunch of like, it looks kind of Egyptian in a way, like it looks hieroglyphic-y. And I hope somebody figures them out. I'll post them with the episodes. If you guys can crack the code on the Rongo Rongo, you'd be fucking pretty famous.
Yeah, average listener of the
Yeah,
Private
pussy.
Dicks podcast.
All 1,000 of you.
One of you certainly
Everyone take a
PhD
symbol
holding.
and figure out that symbol, and then we'll combine it.
We all just come back with fuck. Dick. This one means dick. No, this one means dick. Cool. That was fun telling you guys about that. I don't know why I had fun reading about that. It was something different. It was
It's
good.
interesting. Yeah, I never really thought about the Easter Island heads that much.
Yeah.
I just
me
want to
neither.
know if that's where headstones came from.
Yeah, no, that's a great question as well.
I doubt it, but I don't care, and we should just say it did.
So there's the mystery solved for today.
Yeah.
Headstones come from the Easter Island, the Moai of the Easter
Yeah.
Islands. of
Good
Rapa Nui.
find, Rick. Good solve, man.
Good solve. Good solve, Rick. Just when I think that we can't solve anything, we solve something we didn't even know we needed to solve. We think there's nothing to solve. We solved the greatest mystery of all, headstones.
Why are they called headstones?
I just watched Private Dicks and I think RJ's the funniest.
What? Come on.